will need to do that because I'll need to express interest. The tender's been out for a wee while now, so you may have already expressed interest in it, but just in case you haven't, the way that I would tend to find it, sometimes you're not exactly sure what it's going to be called, but if you know the buyer name, so in this case we know it's Scottish Enterprise, make sure that I spell it correctly, then you could just do search, but that would bring you up all types. Now we know this is a current opportunity, so we're just going to click on current opportunity. We don't have to put locations or anything like that. You can leave all of that blank. We don't want to tick archived contracts because that would bring up everything that Scottish Enterprise has advertised for evermore. We just want to see anything that is current. So if we do this, search notices, and there we have it. So at the moment they've actually got 14 notices that are live now. Unfortunately, the way PCS works is it doesn't actually, it'd be great if it only brought up the ones that we weren't past the closing date for, but it's not how it works. So it must archive after a certain period of time, maybe 6 months or something. So you have to be careful when you are looking for things that you look and see what is the deadline for things. So if you take this one here, it's past, it's 17th of March, so it wouldn't be something that you can go for. But here you'll see you recognise it. So it was posted on the 20th of March, and it's the Cooperative Business Support Framework for CVS. First thing you'll see here is the deadline, 20th of April. So let me just check, when is that? So that is 2 weeks tomorrow. So you're possibly already working on this at the moment as we speak. And just what these little symbols mean, the little Scottish flag means that it's below what used to be the EU thresholds. So it's only being advertised in Scotland. The paperclip means that there are documents attached to it. And this little key, which actually means there's a post box, which is what you use to do your response. So you use the post box. So that's just what the front ones mean. These OSID are just reference numbers where you can link different notices. So when they put the award notice in, you would be able to link it through that. So just say, before we go in and look at this one, just say you wanted to actually see if there was a previous one. So we could do business. This is just a bit of a detour, just to see if there is. So we'll do contract results, and we will use include archive, just to see if there is a previous generation. Now it takes a wee time because it's searching quite a lot of different things. So if you want to go to actually put CDS in here, just to see, just out of nosiness really, see if there's anything on there. So yep, there you can see it. So there are 3 different relevant ones: 2009, 2013 and 2020. So within each of these, what you can do is, if we look in the expert support, we can get some information. So you've got all the different lots, etc. But in here, full text, if you go all the way down to section 5, and I know this is going to be really small on your screen, but you can do this after yourself. This is section 5. It's a Roman numeral 5. You see here, section 5, award of contract. And it tells you the names of who's been successful. So lot 1, there were 10 offers received, and these are the people who were successful in getting a place on that consultancy at that time. Okay, so just have a wee, you can have a wee nosy basically, just that's all it is, it's a bit of a nosy. Right, so if we go back here and I take out that because we just don't want to risk getting the name wrong, take out archived, and I want to look at an actual current opportunity. Click on search, and so we're back to this one which closes on the 20th of March 23. So you can see there's different tabs along the top here. So you've got the introduction of it, where they're looking to appoint up to 7 advisors to have capacity across different cooperative models. And then in here, we've got the full text notice, basically just the same short description. It's saying the value of this contract is £165,000. What it's going to cover: startups, existing co-ops, and support to the CDS. It's a 24-month contract with an option to extend for another 12 months. In here, you've got the weightings of the quality questions. So understanding the project and SE requirements, 20, methodology and approach, 20, understanding of different cooperative models, 25, project team structure, 25, and then information security, 5, and fair working first. So presumably they all add up to 60 because the price is weighted at 40. Then when you go down further down here, it sometimes tells you what the selection criteria are. And what that means is what the minimum requirement is to qualify for being able to provide this. Now they've just referred back to the SPD module within PCS. So we're not going to be able to find that out from notice. We're going to have to look in there. So section 4 tells you what the procedure is. It's an open procedure, and what that means is it's a one-stage process. So they are looking for everything at this point before the 20th of April. So that includes your single procurement document, the selection criteria. It includes the quality questions, and it includes the pricing as well. All of that is required in one stage. And then after that, once you've submitted, you will then be told whether you've been successful or not. And then there is information about the supplier development program and today's session. So that's really all we can get from that section. Thank you for that, Martin. Yes, so there's already been Q&A. Martin said it's not 7 advisors as in 7 people. It's 7 suppliers who may have more than one person working for them. And you've got further information in here. So there you can see the post box, and you've got to record your interest to be able to see that. So you see all of these things here. You can see the documents, but you're not allowed to download them until you have expressed interest. Let's just go up here, contact info. Got Joanne Napier is the person who's running this procurement. And this is the document family here. So there was a PIN, a prior information notice, published about this on the 23rd of February. So if we just then go in and record your interest, this is where it will ask me to log in. I'm going to save that. So I have now registered my interest, which I must remember to unregister my interest. So now then it appears in my interest list. So if I go down to here and open this up, so now you can see those tabs are there, but the difference is when I click into them, I'll be able to actually see them. So the first thing I do is open up, undownload all of these documents. Also have a sneaky peek to see, okay, 55 people have downloaded the invitation to tender. and then the minimum number of so there's 23 downloads of other things. So it could well be that some organisations have downloaded the invitation to tender and decided by looking at it that it's not for them. Or it could be that it's that they're not at that stage yet. They just haven't started to do the response yet, and they haven't downloaded everything. So if we go into Q&A, you can see here that there are 2 questions already. And within there, when you ask a question, it then comes up as a pending question, and only your questions that you ask appear there. You wouldn't know if anybody else has asked a question and it hasn't been answered yet. The buyer can discard a question, so they can reject it. And if they do so, they need to tell you a reason why they've rejected it. And if that's the case, it will appear under discarded questions. The buyer does sometimes do that. For example, if a supplier asks a question that's already been asked, then they'll just discard it and say, check out question number 2, which answers your point. Or sometimes suppliers will make points, but it's not actually a question, so there's no point in publishing it. That can just be discarded as well. But on the whole, the good thing about this is there's complete transparency in that all questions that get asked and answered will appear here. You will get an email to let you know that a question's been asked, and a link to take you directly to the question as well. Also, depending on what size of organisation you are, you can download the questions. So that's quite handy. Just say you're the person that deals with PCS, but you want to be able to share the questions and answers with the rest of your team, then you can download them and open the file and send that by email. The other thing that sometimes, depending if there's a lot of questions, you can do is use the spreadsheet to then create another column, which is what any action is for you as a result of that question and answer. So it's quite good to get into the habit of saying, right, does that change anything? Do I need to download a different version of a document? Do I need to change my pricing? Do I need to revisit a quality question or something like that? But in some cases, there won't be any action. So like in this one here, where they clarified that 7 supplier organizations rather than individuals, then there probably wouldn't be any action unless you decided, well, actually, I don't want to be one of 7. I don't think there's going to be enough lot of work in it for me, or whatever you decided not to proceed. So it probably, the only thing that would really affect is your decision to bid or not bid, your bid or no bid decision. Go into further info, there is no info there, same contact information and so on. So the key bit really is the documents area. Now you'll see here, I'm pretty sure that they are using PC, the SPD, single procurement document, in Public Contract Scotland. So what we'll do is, if I go to the post box, so this is how you create your response. You go to your post box and scroll down to the bottom. Where are they? There it is there. So due by the 20th of the 4th. So in here, you will be able to create. Now, once you've done this once, I'm going to make this a bit bigger. Once you have clicked on create, the next time that you go into it, you'll have edit, and I think submit, but definitely edit. So you only see create once. Once I go into create, and you can see here, here's the things here. So they have got the SPD built into it. Maybe you could let me know by chat whether you've used the SPD before that's built into Public Contract Scotland or not, or if that's a new thing to you. But quite often it isn't used very often. So what I tend to find is that some suppliers don't know where to find it because they're looking for it in documents, but actually it's not until you generate your postbox, create your postbox response that you can see it. So here you can see it here, and this is where you generate your response. So we might just do that in a minute just to sort of see how that looks. And for everything else where you've got to add a document, it's simple. It's very like just attaching an email. So you would do like quality question one, and then you would choose a file by browsing in your folders. Just randomly choose that one. And then what people sometimes get a little bit mixed up with is they think they've chosen the folder and that's it. But it's not, so you actually have to add it. So if you add it, you're uploading the document, and then what will happen is you have to scroll back down again. But the good thing is you can then see your document there. So you can always have a little checklist of things that you need to upload and then just do a final check beforehand to make sure that that's there. If you then make an update to that quality question or your pricing or whatever and you want to change it, that's okay. There's a tick box here that allows you to delete that attachment. So what you would do is go through and add in all of the documents you need to add in. I usually just put like, Dear Scottish Enterprise, please find my tender attached. Don't hesitate to get in touch. If you have any queries. Okay, so you can put that in there. Now, I am pretty sure that if I try to dispatch this now, it wouldn't let me because I haven't done the SPD. So what you can do, I'm going to save and exit just so I can show you what it then looks like when you go back in. So here you can see here you've got my response, edit, dispatch, and delete. Now, really bad design that is right next to edit and dispatch. And last thing you want to do is delete the response if you've spent a lot of time on it. But we are going to go into edit dispatch. Takes us back to the same place where we've got all this information here. So you go into generate SPD response. Now it takes a wee while. I think it's going to a completely different place, a completely different sort of part of the website because it is an add-on. And we're in a different, see how it's a little bit different look and feel and different font and everything? You've got the SPD control panel, and there's a profile here as well. So it's a bit different in that you need to sort of keep going next and next and next. In here, it's got a little description of what it is. They've not got to do anything yet. Can different people edit it once it's there? Now that's a really good question. I don't know because I think it would depend
You can
on
create
how you
new
set
or
your account up.
yeah, each person can go in and create a profile and create a response, and then they're listed in numerical order. So there might be 2 responses waiting for this one, and you can go in and you can get access to edit them then. We'll
I
maybe
don't know
play
if
with
that
that
would
at
be
the
a
end.
good idea because what you might end up with is 2 different responses
Yeah,
for the same
need to be
company.
careful with it.
Yeah,
Agree.
I think you're better to just stick to one person doing it. You might be able to get another sign on for the same account. So sometimes what companies do is they create a generic PCS sign in. So instead of being at Julie, it will be info at or something like that, just so that various people can go into the same login and post things, check things, all that kind of thing. So just back to this, we're still in the situation where we're going through Oh, right, so I don't know why that's there. Right, so we're going, it's almost like a front page thing here. So I'm going to save and exit. Now I can't lock it. This is probably going to be the most technically difficult bit of doing the bid. Is operating the SPD. Public Contact Scotland have said to me that it's the biggest cause of calls to their technical help desk out of everything is using the SPD that's built into PCS. Doesn't really help matters much. So now you can see I've created it. So now I can go on and edit it. So it's very similar, but you can't save it until you've actually finished it. Company details. I've got to select the bidder, legal status before I can go on. See, just put private limited company, then save that. Okay, so get into the actual SPD now. Yes, that's right, Martin. They could, and obviously you'll have your own internal procedures as to whether you're allowed to log in using somebody else's login or not. But subject to that, it's certainly technically feasible to do that. Okay, so this is coming into the SPD. It does look very, very different from any of the other systems. It looks different from PCS, it looks different from PCST. They have got the tabs along the top, but to me it's just very, very different. So just there's a lot of nexting and around. So what you can do in here, are you an SME? And you can see if you put no, it doesn't ask you. So they've got this conditional formatting. And then you can put, you know, put your turnover, etc. in it. Are you supported business? Providing supported employment. If you say yes, it asks you what the percentage of disabled or disadvantaged workers are. And then more detail on that. And if you click no, it doesn't ask you that. So you'll start to see these questions being familiar if you've done an SPD before, but they look different. They look more modern. So here's 2A16. So you've got in here, you know, are you a UK business? If you are, you just put not applicable. So a lot of these questions you should be familiar with. Are you participating in the procurement with others? No. If yes, then you may have to download the SPD and fill that in and attach it. And the other thing that caught me out when this first came out was you always have to answer so even just say your answer is yes or no, and that means you wouldn't have anything to attach. You still have to answer this whether it's available electronically or not, because it won't let you proceed without that. So do I intend to subcontract? No. And just next. And then you come on to all mass murderer type questions. So you can see in here, if I say yes, then it asks me what the date of conviction is, the reason, who's been convicted, and so on. And then once you've completed all that, you would add it. Then asks you, have you taken self-cleansing actions? And if so, then you have to detail what those actions are. And again, do you want to provide electronic evidence? If you say yes, then it comes up with what that evidence would be. And you can upload documents as well if you want to upload the evidence. in the actual SPD itself. Better change this to no because I don't really want to save anything like that. So for all of these, your answers are probably going to be no, but you go through all of these questions. Like, so the answer to that, you'd think if you're answering no, then it's not even relevant whether it's available electronically, but there's not a not applicable function, which would make more sense. So you do have to say no because it won't let you submit if you don't answer those questions. So sometimes it's a bit like a needle in a haystack at the end, when you're trying to find the bit that you haven't answered that's not letting you submit because of it. So if anybody's on the call that's actually used this before, then you'll know what I mean. When you get to the end and you're trying to find out why it's not accepting it and why it's not letting you save it. So just going to answer no to these questions. It's a lot of these questions. So unlike PCST where it saves your previous responses, it doesn't really save all of those, but there is a profile option. And but you see how quick it is. Like once you know what the question, I don't have to read these questions because I know what they are, but you probably, if you're not used to it. Right, so the good thing is with this, they haven't actually asked any suitability questions here. So let's see what goes on in the next section. No questions on turnover either. Right, so here they're asking about professional PI, professional and risk indemnity here. And it's asking you if you have got the level required. Now here it doesn't actually say. So if you said yes, you do, and you've actually got your certificate handy, then you could actually upload your insurance certificate now, which saves you having to do it later on. In instructions, it might tell you whether you have to do that or not, or whether it's just optional. Employer's liability of 5 million. So I'm just going to say yes and no to that one as well. Takes me to the next one. Now here where we've got relevant examples. Okay, so in here, it's actually a character thing. So what I would advise you to do is you have got 200 words and describe the key outputs delivered, the duration, the value, who the customer is and what your role was. It does say you can submit examples in a separate document. But at the moment I can't see. Yeah, so you would just tick, is this information available electronically? So what I would do here is I'd say, see attached documents below. And then you add that, and that then creates looks like it's an example. And then you would put your, like you could put example 1. And then you would put, you've not stored the document on this site, so you could upload a new document, and that does the same as before, where it takes you to your files, and then you would choose a document from there. Hold on while it's thinking. Hope it's not going to crash. That'd throw me out. Right, okay, so you could just put example 1. Example 1. And then It's not applicable. No. Do you want to use it in the future? So then you do this choose file option in here. And that's where it takes you to there. You can open that. And then save it. Return to response. Okay, so there you can see that there is a document there uploaded against that one. So that's how you upload it if you want to do it as a separate document, but do remember that there's 200 words limit for each one. And here it's asking you what the sort of similar work that you've done before. Okay. And then let's just see. So you've got a question on supply chain management. And this is about paying subcontractors well and on time and so on. So it looks like this is not optional. It looks like you will have to put something in there. Remember to add it because it doesn't, and then even here you still have to remember to put no. So looking for a carbon plan, working towards net zero pass fail. So you have to upload carbon management plan. And then add. And then you would click yes for that, and then you would upload your carbon management plan. How much of it's going to be subcontracted, just say 0%, and then save only, next. Right, so now we are into quality assurance, there's nothing there. Go to next, we're in environmental management, there's nothing there. Next, next, take me to next. Right, so that's it, I think. So we'll go to summary. Just takes its time. You can see the little circle of doom. So you've got to go into concluding statements, and then I'm putting in there. Just save and exit. Right, so you can see there that I still was not able to, it's not ready to be submitted yet. So if I go in here, there must be something that I've missed. And unfortunately, you just have to keep going through this bit here. It's a bit fiddly. I'd be interested in the chat if anybody's at this stage or has attempted to do this and how you've got on with it. So you can see here's all the information down here that we've put in. Right, so there's one, an unanswered one there. So basically I would have to, I'm not going to do this just now because it just takes up too much time, but I would have to go back to 2C1 and answer that before I could then actually complete the SPD. But it's a shame it doesn't just tell you right at the top what you've got to do, because you have to just scroll down and see. And yeah, So that's what you've got to do to find it. So there's only one thing there that was missed, but I would have to basically go back into that and go through all those tabs to find it. So I can only save it just now. So that's really the SPD bit. The rest of it is here. It's your uploading of documents and making sure that all the documents that you need to upload are there. And that's based on, so if I create that response, I just want to, you have to scroll all the way down to the bottom. So when you want out of that again, you want to go back to it, then you can either try to dispatch it, which it won't let me do because I haven't completed the SPD, or I can save and exit. Now, if you cancel it, just get rid of everything you've done already. And here you can see I'm back to edit dispatch there. Okay, so that's where I would then go into it again to, if I want to look at the actual notice, then I would go back into there, look at the documents, and in here, be able to see in the invitation to tender what they're asking you to do. So you probably won't be able to see that because I'll be sharing that screen. So has anybody got any anything they want to discuss on the actual mechanics of using Public Contract Scotland?
Now is your time, guys. Use the live chat. Just let Julie know what you want to see or any questions you have, and we will quickly jump back through PCS to show you and help answer your questions. So use your live chat. It's a little speech bubble sitting down round about your clock area. When you open it up, the free field for typing is below the word to. And if you could change the to option to all panelists, please, if you've got that option, that'd be great. There's a question in from Martin about the tender response template. Is that the same as the SPD response?
I think, is it this one here? I think that was appendix 2. I don't think so. I think this will be the quality questions. Yeah. Right, so I'm just going to come back and try and share. So if I stop that and share Word.
Would it be better to share screen and then just drag into the screen what you want to open?
Oh, yeah, that might have been better. I'll do that the next time.
Okay.
So here you can see this is appendix 2. So yeah, put your key information there on the front. Right, okay. So here they've said we have not specified word or page restrictions, but they wish you to openly, concisely, and persuasively respond. No links to websites and attachments should be kept to minimum. So they haven't said no attachments. Quite often it's no attachments. Part 1 is the online SPD, which is what I've just showed you. Then we've got data protection and real living wage. Then we've got the section on quality and price. So if we just go down here, right, so all you've got to basically do is say that you confirm that you've completed the SPD, and if you just click in the box, it automatically puts a cross in it. And then if you've not got any subcontractors, that would be not applicable. And then this is about the carbon management plan. So depending what type of organisation you are, it's quite likely that at the moment you don't have a carbon management plan, but you're going to need, I think it'll be past scale as to whether you do that. Then you've got a question on living wage. So if you answer yes to that, so what they're saying is they do want everybody on this framework to be paying the real living wage. So you have to answer yes. If you said you weren't prepared to do that, then you would not be taken any further forward. And then they've got the bit about GDPR here, which needs to be filled in. And then they get into the quality questions. Martin, what I would maybe suggest is that if there isn't a carbon management plan, if there isn't a Scottish enterprise carbon management plan on the website, then I would just raise a question and ask if they could post theirs, because that'll give you an idea of what they want. And the Scottish Government are really, really big on the environment, and they're pushing this down through buying organisations to ask for it. But it does sound like it's something that Scottish Enterprise must have on their strategic agenda, is to to pursue that agenda. So strictly speaking, what it usually is identifying the things in your business that generate carbon footprint, and then what you're going to do to reduce your carbon footprint, and who's going to manage it, who's going to ensure that the actions are done, have a bit of an action plan, what the dates are, and who's the owner is for each of the actions. In an outline and in a nutshell, that's the kind of thing that they'll be looking for. Okay, so just to go down, this is about subcontractors. Okay, so this is where it gets into these questions that are scored. Like I think that when we looked at the notice, it was 60% on quality and 40% on price. So this is where you put your response in here to this question. So what is your understanding of the project, and Scottish Enterprise requirements, aims and objectives, including the benefits of cooperative models? So you would respond to that there. Now, as I said, they haven't got word limits or page limits, so it's entirely up to you how much you decide to do. I would say maybe you could ask them for a guide. Are they expecting 1 page, 2 pages, 3 pages, 4 pages, even though they don't want to put a limit on? I actually prefer it when the buyer does put a limit on, because at least it's a level playing field, and you know what's expected of you. So basically, yes, you've got to take each of these questions and respond to it. Once you've done that and saved this document, you're happy with all the answers in it, then that's when you would then go back to your post box again and upload this. Okay, so make sure you just scroll all the way through, and you can put in an electronic signature if you've got one. Another useful function of Word I found that you maybe already know about, but I was quite pleased, is the draw function. So you can actually draw, and you can draw with a pen or you can draw with touch. So I've got a touch screen. So if I do that and then I can actually sign there, or actually on the document itself. And if you used a pen, I'm just going to use a black pen. And you can do it here as well. Well, you've got to use your mouse, so it's not that easy. But you can do that, or some people have an electronic, a picture of their signature that they can use. So obviously once you've got that, then you would save that. I generally save it as with the name of my company and the title, so that if they're downloading these appendices, then it's dead easy for them to see. Of course, it's on the front page anyway, but just in the name of the file, they'll be able to see who the bidder is. I'm not going to save my scribbles. Right, is there anything else anybody would like to ask if you've had a look through and there's anything you want to particularly focus on?